Welcome to Real Talk with Chris and Ross, a podcast designed for entrepreneurs and forward thinkers. We do focus, though, heavily a lot on real estate, obviously, because Ross and I are in the real estate industry over 30 years together combined. But we like to bring a lot of hot topics and up-to-date content for you right to your front door. So buckle up, book your seats up, and we're going to bring some hot fire to you right now. Awesome.
That intro gets me now every time.
It does, right? It does. Welcome, my co-host, Ross III from Michigan. What's up, brother? How are you?
You know, man, I'm doing great. Really excited to have our special guest on today, Miss Bridget in the house.
I know. A little bit of Wisconsin cheese in the house, I should say.
We got the Midwest representing.
And definitely don't talk about Green Bay Packers because she'll probably shoot you in the forehead. So she is a Green Bay Packer fan through and through. But we love you. We do appreciate your guest speaker today, Bridget Romo. And to give you a backstory, just real quick, Bridget, I met Bridget in Puerto Rico at a funnel freedom program by Kinder Reese programs. Learned a lot, and I was kind of blown away because I didn't know a lot of stuff. She was like fit right in. She is a digital marketer, social media queen. She knows how to lay it down and really pile into the social media site. So we're excited to have you. Thank you, Bridget. And I know it was last minute too, FYI, for those listening out there.
That's right.
Kind of pulled in like a road dog for us and hooked us up. So thank you again. Appreciate the time.
Heck yeah. Very thankful for that too, Bridget, because we were sitting there like, what's our main topic today? And we're like, you know what? We need to get a guest on. And you just came right through. So you're the MVP today.
You are MVP of all things. So I appreciate you. Awesome. So we get a chance here, Bridget, if you can, are we freeze there? Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Awesome. There we go. Kind of give us some.
And then I have the I'm back. Are you guys back?
Yep, we're back. There we go. Do us a favor, kind of give us some background if you could. Give us a little storyline on you. Yeah. Let the stage for everybody in there listening out there in the podcast world of who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, first off, this is my first time wearing a hat on a podcast, much less backwards, but I felt compelled. Maybe it's the influence going on up here, but my name's Bridget Romo. I am from the Midwest. We already covered a good part of that, but my entrepreneur journey probably began when I was young, growing up actually here in Wisconsin. I was homeschooled my whole school career, grew up in a very religious family, 9 kids total. So there was always some chaos ensuing, and there still is, but it's a lot more fun as adults. But yeah, I just grew up in a really kind of a home where work ethic and some of those good old country morals and values were instilled in us. And I kind of knew at an early age, and if you just tying in, like spring is my absolute favorite season here, and being back in Wisconsin, it's the beginning of May and it's absolutely beautiful. And summers here are so short. And I remembered as soon as I got my first job and I had to work through a summer in Wisconsin, I was like, geez, this blows. Like everyone's outside, the sun is shining, and I'm here behind a desk. And I always hated that feeling. And when I grew up and I had my first corporate jobs, all of my PTO I would use on Fridays in the summer just so I could go out and have longer weekends. So I knew 9 to 5 was not for me, but got married young, had a son, and I'll try to kind of zip through this, but it's kind of an important backstory to where I am now and how I apply this work ethic today. But I got married in my early 20s, lived on a dirt road here in Wisconsin, and we had a son young who's Christian. He's now 13. And we're kind of everything is how I thought life should be. I had my marriage, I had my job, I had my son. I started working out and doing a little bit of fitness in this pull shed gym with the neighbors. Like it was like life was good. And then we got pregnant with our second child, and she ended up being stillborn. And that at that point kind of just threw my whole life into sort of a derail. Whereas I was going to have my boy, my girl, like who's 2 years apart. I just had all these like, okay, life is just how I want it. And then to have it kind of pulled out from under me was pretty hard because now I'm on a maternity leave with nothing to do. And it was just a very depressing time in my life. And I saw my son playing on the floor one day and I was just like, I can't stay in this place forever. Like I need to get up. I need to get back to feeling myself. I also wasn't eating. I was just kind of just throwing everything off. I wasn't working out. It was like the middle of winter at that point. And so I did what every normal person in that depression state would do, and I signed up for a fitness competition, which is not normal at all, and nobody ever does that. So, but I knew I needed to have something else to focus on, and one of my friends was doing it, so I was like, oh, sure, I'll sign up. I knew two things. It would make me work out, and it would make me eat. And that's what I needed to do. But I had no idea how to train. I had no idea how to work out legs. I didn't even know you were supposed to. So I was doing like this little phone app where you just work out off the phone. And then finally somebody was like, you should probably hire a coach. So I hired a coach, and that lady got me from not knowing how to work out to walking across the stage in a bikini, no less. And within, however many months I was training, probably 5-6 months. But I'll never forget walking across the stage for the first time and being around all these powerful, confident, strong women, both physically and mentally, and just feeling suddenly so empowered. And I was like, wow, like it was such a reflective moment for me, because I was like, okay, I hired a coach. I trusted the process. I made sacrifices. I got up early, went and did my 5 a.m. workouts before my son woke up, before I had to go to work. I meal prepped. I did all of these things and followed all of these steps. And I ended up placing like in the top 5. So I was like, this is pretty cool. Like it was just kind of an eye-opening experience. I was like, okay, so it was kind of like 1 + 1 = 2. I'm like, okay, if I follow the steps, I do the work, I can get what I work for. So it kind of opened up this whole drive in me, and I went on to compete a few more times. But then I was like, okay, well now I'm not happy making just barely $30,000 a year and being told we can't go on vacations or we can't go out to eat, and like nobody else is doing anything about it, so I'm going to do something about it. And so I also hate winters. I think we said that a little bit earlier when we were chatting about the Midwest. I do not like to be cold. It's probably 80 degrees out, and I still have a hooded sweatshirt on. I'm just weird like that. But I convinced my then at the time husband, I'm like, I want to move to Texas. Like Texas is like the Midwest. They're laid back. It's warm. Let's go. And he was just like, he didn't want to, so he gave me ultimatums. He's like, you got to come up with a job that makes $60,000 a year. You got to get $5,000 to move. You got to get our house rented out. And mind you, I just walked across the stage in a bikini. So I was like, all right, let's do this. So you can't really tell me no at this point, because I'm going to figure it out. So I flew down to Houston 2 times. And at the time, so people don't fly and move executive assistants across the country, right? Like they're a dime a dozen. You can get them anywhere. And so I was able to nail a project coordinator position, and I came back the second time with the job offer for $60,000, completely my $60,000, $5,000 to move. I got a renter for the house, and I came back and I slid the job offer across the table at dinner, and I was like, you have 2 weeks to pack up. So we got divorced within a year of us moving, but he followed through, so we did move. And we came to Texas, and that's kind of began the quest for this entrepreneur life. So I had my jobs. I didn't really like them, and I kind of job hopped for a while, which I didn't appreciate because I was kind of like a steady state person. But while I was in the fitness industry, so I started connecting. I became a connector, and I started connecting fitness models with photographers. Like they needed each other, and I knew a bunch of both of them. So I started helping them connect and build their portfolios for modeling gigs and things like that. And finally, one lady was like, I need you to run my social media. She was an older lady. And I was like, I don't do social media. I just connect people. And she's like, no, but I like how you run your social media. You really position yourself well. You understand branding. She goes, run my social media for me. I was like, well, she's like, I'll pay you. So I was like, well, how much? So then we had the conversation, and she was, to this day, one of my most challenging clients. So why I stayed with this, I have no idea. But she taught me so many lessons right off the bat that were great. But she worked together to write on behalf of somebody else. And then from there, it just became this referral process. And people just started to refer to me all the time. So probably 3 or 4 years, I did it as a side hustle. And then 4 years ago, I got the corporate rug pink slip thing handed to me, and I was like, all right, I'm giving this my all. And I've been full time now. I have a team of 7 people that work for me, and been I would say, butterflies and roses ever since. But it's still really difficult, but I love it, and I get to be outside in the summer in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. What a great story. I didn't realize even all that even when I first met you in Puerto Rico, all this layers here. Which,
always
man,
layers.
there's always layers, right? Onions, you gotta pull back and find somebody's
Yeah.
true core of who they are. But man, there's a lot of internal fights that we have of getting
Yeah.
to a destination. We talk about that on this podcast weekly, right?
All the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like literally all of the challenges that we run across, the doors we get slammed in our face, the walls we hit against the wall, and the nose, yet
Yeah.
you found a way. So
Yeah.
I love your story about that. Like you literally went out and made it happen. Like shit,
Yeah.
like screw that.
And
then
I think that's such a big part of even in real estate. Like any entrepreneur, you're always going to be running up against closed doors. I'm kind of transitioning right now, so I'm kind of learning how to open new doors. So you're always in this place, and I think that's where all of that backstory and all of that back experience that you get, like you can't skip to successful.
no.
Like you have to go through all these challenges, and you have to learn how to work through these things so that you can get to that point of being successful. And then guess what? When you get to successful, there's another level, and then you got to go through it all again.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, that's definitely true. You know, and hearing your story too, you're such a solutionary person, right? Like you look at something and you don't just walk away from it because it doesn't look obtainable. You really create the solution for it. Is there like a process? Because I'm always interested in that, you know, like, is there a certain process that you go to make a decision or to kind of create the solution, or is there a step that you kind of build out, or, you know, do you kind of lean with a lot of your heart? Because I know that's a thing too. You kind of, as you said, you're just piecing it together as you go. I'm always fascinated about that. So yeah, if you could share with the listeners.
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I would think there's probably a combination of things. I'm very much a pros and cons person, so I do sometimes have to like visually write down the pros and cons of a thing. I wouldn't say I spend a lot of time thinking about things. There's some things I'll make like a split decision on, be like, nope, this is where you're gonna do it, we'll figure it out. I'll jump and build the parachute down. Then there's like bigger life decisions, like moving across the country, that I know I sat on that for probably a year, but it stirred in me so hard. I just started telling people. I told my family, I told my relatives, I just told everybody, I'm like, we're moving to Texas. We're moving to Texas. I had no freaking clue how we're going to do it. I just started putting it out there. And I think sometimes the process is just, if you can't shake an idea, or if it keeps coming back to you, or things just start popping up that are related to it, I think you kind of have to take in all of that into consideration. And you know what? Sometimes I've made decisions, expensive ones, that didn't pan out, and there's a lesson in everything. And I try to think about it that way. In a spiritual sense, I always think, okay, the universe is working on my behalf. So if I decide to move forward with this decision, in my mind, if it looks like it's a failure or a success, there's still something to be learned here. So it kind of takes off the pressure of making decisions.
That's good. That's good.
I like that. It's a hard pill to swallow, though. Let's be honest, as human beings, our nature is not to work that way. I know mine isn't. I'm a control freaking freak, man. Like I want my shit figured out.
And you know what, Chris, though, and I used to be like that. And until I lost the baby to stillbirth, that was the point I let it go. And I was like, I have absolute zero control over my life.
Yeah.
And I think it has really made me like, I just have to do the work and trust the outcome. And I think it's made me a more laid back and relaxed person because of it. Like I've had to learn how to just let go of control, because when you hold on to something and it's taken away from you anyways, you're like, why am I trying to control then? Because I have no control.
That's a freaking power. I just want to stop for 2 seconds right now and lay in that.
Yeah.
Because I realize that everybody on a human level this day are experiencing something of that nature in any area of their life, where they're just like trying to control something that maybe whatever, for various reasons, one or the other. But we spend so much energy, right? Where thoughts go, energy flows. Your thoughts are going on it constantly. Like, God, why? Like for you, I mean, I can't even imagine, first off, that kind of scenario.
Yeah.
First, you know, there's a connection between a mom and a child that no person on this planet can ever experience. I'll say that first off. But to have that happen to you, that's traumatic.
Yeah.
And then for you to actually get to a point in your life, though, in a place in which you're like, I have to let go. I have to let go of, and it probably took months and I don't know how long, maybe years, of you like just angry and frustrated of like, why me? Why my child? Why to happen?
Can I tell you something that I haven't told on a podcast or anything yet, too? And just in the lines of learning how to let go and to think of things differently. So, Chris, you know this. You met my baby. The baby that I just had, she was a surprise blessing from the Lord. we'll call it. And when I found out I was pregnant, I went to the doctor. They gave me a due date, and my due date was the day after the baby I lost birthday.
Oh, wow.
Claire was born on October 22nd, and my due date for Avia was October 23rd. So talk about having to completely just get mind blown.
Wow.
I was like, okay, God, what in the WTF are you doing to me at this point? So that was 9 months of me battling, wanting to be in control and having to let go. And to top it off, she was born on National Infant Loss Day. So I'm like, all right, I'm just throwing in the towel now. Like,
wow.
I just, at that point, it was such a moment of just the whole experience was like, okay, I just have to trust God and trust that He's got this under control. Would He put me through this twice? I don't know, but here we go.
Wow.
So,
Jeez, that's a really hard thing to swallow.
Yeah, it
Holy
is.
crap.
For sure. Especially too, right? Like that whole process, by the way, very sorry that you went through that, hearing your story and how you're such an overcomer of the things that you went through and how you really have a positive perspective on the overall case. Like you went into it, you kind of let go of the expectations, which that's a lot of what I hear. And you just trust God in the process.
right.
You know, that is such a key thing too in life, right? Like you said, like we're not all in control of every outcome. You know, but what we can do is just trust God in the process and let go of the expectation sometimes, you know. But wow, what an encouraging word. I mean, that just hit me hard. Thank you for sharing that, Bridget. Seriously.
Thank you for letting me. We got deep real quick, but
No,
Hey,
honestly,
that's real talk.
It's real talk.
That's what you said.
Let's
Okay.
go in a direction. And here's the kicker, man. I would say, what is the mental fortitude that you must go through for 9 months thinking that the same thing, PTSD, the same thing is going to happen again?
Yeah. I vlogged it. I haven't really gone back and watched it, but it was good days and bad days. And I mean, even with my first pregnancy, I kind of emotionally disconnected from him. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. I kept having to do that, but then fighting with, I need to love the baby inside me too. So it was a real mind fuck. But it really actually, I think, and just, you know, topic of faith, when I lost Claire, I was like so done with church. I didn't step foot in a church for years, and I was like, forget this. Like, I didn't understand why God would allow that to happen to me, right? And so now coming back to this experience, I was like, oh shit, now I have to trust Him again, because if I don't trust in Him, like what is the point? So, and she's like one of the coolest, literally the coolest thing that has ever happened to me besides Christian. So it's just, she's somebody I didn't even know I needed in my life, and she's such a blessing and brings so many people joy. Like, and that's what I see. Like, even just traveling, and she's poking around and like giving fist bumps to the guys next to me. I have to have so many more conversations with people, by the way, now.
Yeah.
But she's just a little light, and I think she was just sent here to bring joy to people, and including myself. And I think that was a real big part of my healing. And of course, that was, 10 years later that happened. So it was a long road. I mean, 10 years. And I think I now can see it through different eyes. And I think that's what you see now is how I'm able to have a positive perspective on it, because it's like this full circle moment where I went through all that in the beginning. And obviously it changed the course of my life. And so it was meant to happen, right? And then also in the same regard, God kind of restored that for me.
God, what a story. Jeez. Man, I didn't know we were going to church today.
I love it.
I'm not like a huge churchy person, but like, I don't think you need to be inside four walls to have a spiritual faith. And that's kind of where I'm at with faith right now.
Come on. We talk 100%. About that a lot too. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Dude, I come from a very tragic, traumatic religious experience as a child. Yeah. So I'm very nah, but I have a faith and I believe in God. I really I'm leaning in right now, currently in my life. I love your I love your manifesting. I mean, we talked a lot, we get it. And I love your manifesting of part of like, I just learned, but we're moving to Texas. We're moving to Texas. I'm moving to Texas. We're moving to Texas.
I don't even think I knew what manifesting was back then. I was just like, I don't know.
Because I was going to say, do you read a lot of Napoleon Hill? That was my first question, because that's honestly, well, and it's funny because you didn't even know, like you said at the time, but yet you were using the laws of success with the universe and proclaiming it, seeing it before it happened and everything. Right. And a lot of it, I know you shared, was kind of just that desire inside of you. You knew that you couldn't settle for anything less. Right.
Right. And I think also too, the thing that the fitness competitions taught me was, the hiring a coach. So this applies to like real estate and business now. So it's like, if you're stuck, hire somebody who's already been there. You'll get there faster and much easier and have the roadmap. You got to trust the process, but it also gave me this discipline that I had inside me. I just didn't know how to use or train it. So all of those things came in handy when the corporate America rug was pulled out in front of me, and I was just, all right, here we go. And that company who laid me off came back and offered me a job 3 times, and I was just like, blinders on. I'm committed to this, and I have to keep going. But there's so many lessons that phase taught me that I didn't even realize would apply to my life and to apply to business. And I guess it was like the beginning of my personal growth journey, but I didn't even read a book or do anything until actually I moved to Texas, and somebody invited me to Tony Robbins. So I dove into personal growth by going to that conference. But it really, I mean, of course, it's been consistent ever since then, but a big part of my life now.
Heck yeah.
Well, I love it. Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna start off by saying, I'm moving to Hawaii. I'm moving to Hawaii. I'm moving to Hawaii. Next year I'll be in Hawaii. So I'll let y'all know right now, I'll be in Hawaii next year.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Hey, Bridget, we got a place to stay now. Once he gets a place there.
That's literally what I was about to say. We're going right, Ross?
What's up? I tell you, as soon as I get something there, y'all welcome. I'm sure everybody will be coming to visit more often than not.
Heck yeah.
So doors are open. Oh, awesome. All right. So we got a little sidetrack. I love that though, because again, everything in life, entrepreneurial, this channel again is focused on entrepreneurism, forward thinkers, people that are business oriented. And I tell you what, we talk about it every week, Ross. You cannot have a sustainable business or a flourishing business if you can't figure out what's between your 2 ears.
That's right.
Get that under control. And here we got your process, your story just started off with that, like, wow, bam, 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 of mental fortitude and challenges that were thrown at you and having faith in God and just leaning in on things. And now you're where you're at, where you're got 7 people working for you. You built a business and it wasn't even your forte. Like, I love that too. Like, this wasn't like you went to school, like, I'm going to be some social media tech digital market person one day.
No.
You went from being a bikini bodybuilder person to like, right. Like, I'm going to be in Texas.
Small town Podunk, Wisconsin girl. Like, that's what I was.
It's all good, but you manage. Like, so there's no excuses. My point is saying, as anybody that's listening right now, if you think that your environment is an excuse for you not to succeed in life, or certain elements and challenges that you're facing are excuses in your life of why you can't succeed, you better think twice, because you just kind of proved that theory to be bullshit out the door. Like, you could do anything you want to. You put your mind to it, and you put your mind to anything you want to do, and you made it happen. That's the difference. You made it happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
let's talk a little bit about. Let's go into this digital marketing piece. Like, I met you. You're a digital marketer. Let's hear about that. What does that encompass? What does it look like? What is you servicing? What do you do? And because we're obviously everybody's in social media right now. It's everywhere, right? So
oversaturated. Yeah. So here's what I'm excited about with social media right now. When I started social media almost 8 years ago, you could get in and you could get famous real quick. Now, obviously, the situation is much different. It's a very saturated market. Everybody's there, which is a good thing and a bad thing, right? You want everybody there, but also when you're trying to be heard, how are you going to stand out and be different from the rest? So in my 7 years of doing this, I've had to kind of evolve and constantly change. And the biggest change that I'm seeing right now is everything is video. And I know, Chris, you got this down because you are doing videos all the time. But here's what I've kind of learned over the past 6 months too. Clients will come to me, they'll sign up, and then I will say, hey, if you send me videos, I'll edit them. Let's do videos, like push videos when I sign them up. But I never get videos, and I will get graphics, and I'll get pictures, and I'll put that out there because that's my job, and I create content and I do the things. But then they'll be like, my engagement's bad, or my followers aren't growing, and I'm being like, well, send me some videos again, and people will eventually leave because somebody else will promise them engagement or something like that. And that's great. They're not going to get it if they're following the same content patterns. But here's what I'm doing now. I'm done working with the wishy-washy people that just want 3 posts a week. And here's why. If you're not posting video, you're missing out on so much of a reach, so much of positioning yourself as an expert. And I learned this actually in my own business because I've been doing this for so long. Sorry if you guys can hear the dogs barking. I've been doing this for so long, but so many people still don't know what I do. I'm like, how do people not know what I do? And finally, I did this video shoot for myself where I did like 44 videos in one setting. I found all these different scripts from different people. I wrote scripts. I did ChatGPT scripts, like just came up with all this content. I did a shoot one video right after the next for 2 hours, and I had 40 videos that I could post out. And I started dripping those out. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, wherever, you'll see these little reels where I drop value, I say tips, I say little tricks and whatever. And I'm never asking for anything. I'm not saying DM me or call me or whatever. I'm just adding value to my audience. And then my phone started ringing, and then my calendar started getting booked up, and then people understood what I was doing. So it was a huge lesson to me, because I'm like, I literally positioned myself as an expert, even though I already was an expert, in my space by putting out these videos. And not only that, I signed my biggest clients who came to me not through referral or any other source of knowing me, but through my videos. So it was a huge lesson in the way that I needed to transition videos. And so now I took it one step further. In order to work with me, you have to do videos. So we've created this VIP kind of video experience where it's expensive. You got to do, even to go off and do it yourself. If you go off, you hire a video team and you hire somebody to do scripts, or you spend the time to do it yourself. And then you got to pay the editors and then the creative editors and then post it. Like, that's a lot of work. So I mapped it all out, and I figured out how much work it is and how much it's going to cost. And I kind of created this whole package experience, because it's one thing for me to say, hey, Ross, go shoot videos and then send me the videos. But then you got to go do it yourself. And then you got to get somebody to edit them and all these things. So instead of sending them somebody off and hoping they come back to me for me to post it later, I'm just like, let's knock all of these problems out in one solution. But now I understand that everybody has big budgets, but you can still whip up a tripod. You can still pull out a ring light, stand in front of a window if you don't have a ring light, and do videos on your phone, just like you were doing, Chris, because there's no excuse at this point to not put out video content. Yeah. And I did a whole nother series. I just recorded like another 40 videos on Monday that will be coming out, but with a heavy emphasis on video and why it's so important. But it positions you as an expert. People get to know, like, and trust you much faster. And I think this is so important in the real estate space when there's so many people, and a lot of people are resistant to doing videos or resistant to social media. But like, if there's think about my generation or even our generation, like, I go to social media to find things, right? I go look at people and their profiles and see what they're doing and see how busy they are. Like, I'm not looking for a realtor who's not always available. I want a busy realtor, right? And so if there's one realtor there and one realtor is not, and maybe even the realtor who's not there sells way more homes, I'm not going to know he's not about him because he's not on social media. And especially when there's so many realtors, how is your personality different from others? I may resonate more with Ross and where he's at in his life than I would with a Chris. Like, maybe Chris swears too much for me. Maybe Ross is more in the family phase, so I relate to that. So that's another thing, is to drip in some family things that are personable so people can have that connection with you. But people are not going to get connection through an open house post or just listed post. People are going to get that connection with you through your videos at 3 in the morning when they're doing whatever, 2 in the afternoon, 12 in the afternoon, and you're off showing a house. So I'll get off my stage.
No, I like it.
I think that's great. And I relate with so much what you're saying, because how often does the typical realtor, I know I've done it myself. Like, I am totally guilty as charged on this, where I go, welcome to 1235 with 3 beds, 2 baths, any info, please contact me today. And that post has its place, but this is what rates are doing. And it's so much just, what do I do with this information? And a lot of people feel that way, right? And I hear that in what you're saying. It's like, how about just giving value added information that then the consumer can say, oh my God, I actually just learned something that I can apply, rather than going for the ask. It's a true way to build relationship, is what I'm hearing you say, but doing it digitally without having that back and forth conversation.
You just, it gives you airtime without your actual physical time. Like, we're having this conversation now, but people get to go back and watch it earlier, and we don't have to have the conversation again. We've already had it once. Now people can go back and watch it. And that's the same concept with videos. Like, answer the question one time and post it out there.
Yeah.
So, Bridget, I'm sure you follow Gary Vee. You have to follow Gary Vee.
I actually don't like Gary Vee. I don't resonate with his
so
message,
this question is going to be, then this is going to be a perfect question for you as a social media marketer. One of his biggest, ideas and thoughts that he'll say all the time is just content over quality. Now, for the listener that's sitting here, I know you said, hey, you got an iPhone, you know, you can just do that.
Yeah.
And I actually fully agree with that, because let's face it, the iPhone and the Androids of today, I mean, they're taking better videos than the professional cameras were 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, what are your thoughts on that? Like, if there's somebody listening right now that's like, well, I hear what you're saying, Bridget, but I just don't have a quality camera. Is that an excuse, or do we need to focus more on the message?
I love this question, and I'm ready to answer it. So if you don't have a high quality camera, use your phone. I used my phone for years, and I still do. If it's a real quick whip it up, do a quick message, I will use my phone. I'm using a professional cameraman in this whole system because that's what I'm selling, right? If you're selling really high-end luxury real estate, your videos better damn reflect a very high level of quality, and be very sharp and clean, because that's that you're appealing to. If you're the countryman next door, dude, do a video in your tractor, do a video in your truck, like keep it casual and relatable to your audience, but it's not an excuse anymore. Because two things, if you are super curated and professional and look really put together, people put dollar signs with that. And I'm fine with people putting dollar signs on my stuff, because there are dollar signs with that. But people also appreciate Bridget showing up with her hat on backwards and showing up in her stories at her kids' track meet, because that makes her relatable and brings her down to this personable level. So people also love the authentic, the home, the casual aspect of it, because it gives you that relatable, authentic vibe too. So there's nothing wrong with posting a video from your phone if the quality's not up to cinematic quality, when you're not trying to be that, and you don't need to be that.
For sure. Heck yeah. So basically no excuses. You can get it done. Yeah. There's no excuse. You can totally put out value content. Yeah. That's great. Heck yeah.
Just can't use a Polaroid.
No.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture. Those are not going to work, people. We're just going to make sure you're very clear. If you're listening to this, the Digital Marketing Class 101, no Polaroids.
Get a digital camera.
Get a digital camera. Awesome. So let's talk about a couple things then for the beginner, the starter. I mean, you're at different levels here. You got people that are just starting, like you said, no excuses. We got that figured out. So no bullshit, no excuse, everybody. Stop whining about it. Just freaking go out and do it. If you want to start it, go start it. Truth is, it's so funny. I was just talking to my buddy last night, he's my SEO guy. Like, I've known him for years. He's a good friend of mine. And he's forever and a day been telling me, Chris, man, just start shooting some videos, dude, and start doing this. I'm like, yeah. And this was probably 4 or 5 years ago, right? And he's like, just shoot some videos. Right? I'm like, I procrastinated. And my point is, I didn't do it, right? Every excuse in the world. So if you're listening in there right now, and that's the same thing, you're telling yourself excuses of why you can't do this, can't do that. I was that person. And then this year I was like, oh, fuck, I'm done. Shit, enough of this. I need to just do this. And I did. So I started January 1, and I'm just going to start shooting videos. And I was like, he says, well, how many are you doing? I'm like, I do one every day. I do one 5 days a week, like Monday through Friday. I take off Saturday and Sunday, but so 5 days a week. So that's 20 videos a month. He's like, dude, five videos a freaking month would be good for somebody, but 5 videos a week. So anyways, it's become a routine now. Now it's like, it's easier for me. I figured it out, and I got my niche of what I do. Yeah. But so let's just talk for those that are listening. Where does somebody want to begin? What would be some good content? Because I think that's the hardest part, right? People have a block with content. Like, what am I going to talk about? What would you suggest would be good content to start off with? Or is there even a thing?
Yes, there is a thing. So I would say to definitely stay within your niche, like niche, whatever it's called. If you're in real estate, we'll just use real estate, for example, since that's the primary followers you guys have. If you're in real estate, it makes sense to talk about real estate things, right? You can also deviate a little bit and talk about business in general and mindset and some things like that are applicable to running your own business. But be mindful of, like, who is your audience and who are you trying to help and serve? So that's first and foremost. But the other part, when you're sitting there with a block of, like, what do I even talk about? Most of us who are business owners or in this space, if you call somebody and say, hey, what could you get on stage right now and talk about something for 20 minutes, Bridget, you show up and you can talk about something on your topic, right? So that's one aspect. Think about, what can you talk about for like 20 minutes without any preparation and just showing up. If you're a real estate expert, I sure hope you can show up and talk about real estate for 20 minutes, but we don't need 20 minutes of content. So what is, like, 5 questions that you get asked? What is the process that you can take people? How are you different? why are you in real estate, and just start answering some of those questions. And videos can be 60 seconds or less. Like, think about the length and time you're spending watching videos and how short that is. And your content doesn't have to be really long.
I like that. That's a good point too, because let's face it, as we're scrolling, I mean, I'll maybe spend 3-4 seconds on a video, and unless it really captivates me, I'm on to the next. So, kind of realize too, like, hey, not everyone's going to want to listen to a minute and 30 long. Yeah. That's good.
No, I actually
pause this for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna go get the baby off the bed before she falls.
Okay, go for it. Yeah. Hey, mom mode.
Right.
See, she's versatile. This girl goes from being a Wonder Woman to mom mode instantly.
She brought up a great point too, even before she left. When she said, "Hey, you have to be able to be in a space where you can be called the last minute, talk for 20 minutes about something, and then be able to be a pro at that." And I mean, to Bridget's point, we literally called her, "Hey, Bridget, we're looking for a guest. Can you get on and talk?" And boom, she was here, and she's given us the knowledge.
Yeah. I know, right?
The baby's probably going to join the podcast in a little bit, but
that's all right.
That's all right.
No, it's being versatile and being flexible, but again, no limitations, no excuses. Being able to, and if you know your craft, like your craft, when you know your craft, like I'm that person. You can put me on stage, and I can talk about real estate for days, and I'll put me on any topic.
And the other thing I would say too, because people are like, "Oh, everybody already knows that." No, everybody doesn't already know that. You didn't know that. We weren't born with this collective library. Like, I can learn something from everybody. So don't be afraid to be like the first time home buyer, or just don't be afraid to be. Here's what I'll tell people, and this is coming out in one of my videos. There's 3 types of people in the world. One will love you no matter what you do. One's going to hate you no matter what you do, and the other ones don't give a shit. So just do it.
Yeah. Totally. Yep. That kind of falls right in line with, my horrible, crappy, shitty videos that are done every day are going to beat your non-existing videos every day, So it's not even sometimes about being the quality and the best. It's about just being consistent, being out there and just not stopping.
Consistency over quality, for sure.
Okay. I agree. And I think that goes hand in hand with everything in life, right? The success is reached by consistency, not quality.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, I hear. So that's awesome. Bridget, again, we appreciate you. And this was a last minute thing jumping on there. We love your digital marketing piece there, giving some people some advice on some ideas, content. And, if they wanted to connect with you on this digital marketing piece that you have now, these courses or training, where could they reach you at? Where could they find you at?
They can follow me on social media, all the platforms at Bridget Therese Romo.
Bridget Therese Romo.
Even if they type in just Bridget Romo, they'll find me.
Yeah, Bridget Romo. So she's a great piece there to add value. She does a lot of training. She does some sessions. She does some coaching. She's now also taking your videos and helping you build them all out. So she'll take like full concierge and take your stuff and do it for you too.
Yeah. You show up to the shoot, and that's all you got to do.
That's a lot of work though, extensively. So there's a lot of systems built into that you've had to have built out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for you to actually put this down where you bring a person, sit them in there, they take a video shoot of something, and then you're like, all right, thank you, bye-bye. And you take everything and run it through an entire process.
Yeah.
Is that something that's done like for a long period of time? They buy into a contract? Is it like, how's that work?
Right now I'm doing 3-month contracts, because really the heavy lifting is just that first month. So it doesn't make sense for me to charge you a ton of money the first month and then a little bit the second. So I've just rolled it into a price that I've split it up over 3 months. So I do it in 3-month contracts, essentially. So once 3 months is up, then we do the video shoot process again. You sign the next 3 months and just kind of wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah.
So that way, it's like we're coming up with fresh content every 3 months. We plan the shoot out, we plan the scripts, you show up, we run through it. And of course, there's some planning with you involved in the beginning of this. And then we take it, we send it to post-production. The post-production, the account manager works with the editor to make sure it's right. We probably send one out for you to your approval, make sure it's on brand, make sure it's on point. And then once you've approved everything, we just take it and we start scheduling it out and pushing it out to all your platforms for the next 60 days. And then we schedule our next shoot and we do it again.
It's a great resource, honest to God. I mean, because let's face it, for a lot of people who don't have the time to pour into the video, to edit, to set up the content, I mean, it really is a massive benefit for anyone's business that's looking to grow, especially the leverage. Yeah.
It's at this point, I've tailored it for more of the high producing person that like, you know, they're flying around. They have no time for anybody or anything because they're so busy.
Mhm.
This kind of for the person who has no time to do it. So, and it's geared more towards like professional services, like you know, a top producing real estate agent, or I have personal injury attorneys, or just that high level of service where they're still the face of the brand, but they ain't got time to be doing videos every day or even every week. So
For sure.
that was the concept. It's the concept has really come out of this need that I see, but also in a way it elevates my brand to be able to provide. I would rather provide quality over quantity and my service space.
Yep.
There's always a balance here, right? So instead of taking on a whole bunch of people and posting plain boring graphics, I'm like, let's tailor this down and give people what they really need to be successful on social media, and let's provide everything from A to Z so they don't have to worry about it. And then hopefully they stay with us for a long time. That's the plan, right?
So this might be a question you might not have a real answer for, because maybe there is not one, but what does the timeline look for somebody that starts doing these things, videos constantly, to where you start to see a return on people actually coming to you?
I'm to coming to me, or for the videos to start kicking in?
Yeah, like videos start kicking in where people see the marketing part of it, you know, where you start to become
The
like,
yeah,
in the space where people are like, oh, I know you, and I know
would
you.
say it from my personal experience and even from some of my clients, at least a minimum of 3 months for sure. And then, you know, 3 to 6 months is probably the point where it picked up even more traction. And I've noticed this with even my my personal injury client, because I'm doing working with some of the other vendors. They'll get on and be like, oh my gosh, we're seeing these videos everywhere. Or we did an event and he kind of has his brand where he wears a white shirt and a red tie. He was wearing a t-shirt and then he changed into his red tie and white shirt for a little shoot we were going to do. And all of a sudden everybody recognized him. So it's just kind of like, oh, there's Brian, it's Skip Brian. And so it takes time. And then if you stop, oh, where the hell did Brian go? Where the heck did Bridget go? So it's kind of like, you know, drugs. You got to keep it up.
Yeah, I hear you. I always kind of compare it to, true. I always compare it like back in the day when we had our favorite TV show, right? I don't know if you had a favorite TV show coming on every week. Like, oh, we're right in front of the TV. Like, it's, oh my God, 5 minutes, the TV show's on. And you're like ready and waiting for your TV show.
Yeah.
What happened when that TV show came? Like, oh, sorry, TV show's on this week. You're all, where's my show at?
You go find somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then you just attach yourself to inconsistency too, and that's not good for a brand at all. Yeah.
Right.
Well, again, we'll let you do your thing, Bridget. I appreciate you for coming in, improving for us. Always, again, appreciate you tremendously. And for those out there listening, again, our regular followers, we appreciate you listening and tuning in week after week. Hoping we're adding value to you and your business. And for you newcomers that have just joined us, well, hi there.
Hey,
you newcomers that have just joined us, we hope that we bring added value to you guys. This is something we do every week, and we're excited to bring hot and amazing up-to-date content to you and your field. So until next week, y'all have an amazing week.